Deep within the heart of Blackwood Forest lies a town so shrouded in mystery that even the bravest of souls fear to tread its eerie streets. It is known simply as the town of Lost in the Fog, for it is a place where the thickest of mists can be found, a place where the lost never return. For years, rumors have swirled about this forsaken town. Some say it's cursed, while others believe it to be nothing more than a figment of overactive imaginations. But there are those who claim to have seen it with their own eyes, who tell tales of a town that appears and disappears with the fog, leaving all who enter trapped forever in its mystical embrace. The few who have dared to venture into the town of Lost in the Fog have emerged with stories that defy belief. They speak of cobblestone streets lined with buildings that seem to stretch towards the heavens, of a town square dominated by a clock tower whose bells toll ominously in the mist, and at the center of it all, an ethereal glow emanating from the town hall, beckoning all who enter to a fate they can only guess at. One such tale comes from a man named Elijah Blackwood, who grew up hearing stories of the enigmatic town from his grandfather, a seasoned woodsman who claimed to have seen it for himself. According to Elijah, his grandfather spoke of a town so lifelike that it could have been mistaken for any ordinary village, complete with quaint shops, homes, and even friendly townsfolk. Yet something was not right. The townspeople seemed distant, their faces obscured by a strange, otherworldly haze, and when Elijah's grandfather attempted to interact with them, they simply vanished into thin air, leaving him utterly alone in the eerie silence. As he explored further, he came across an old, weathered signpost that read, "Welcome to the town of Lost in the Fog." Beneath it, a single word was carved, "Beware." And just as suddenly as it had appeared, the town vanished, leaving Elijah's grandfather disoriented and deeply disturbed. Another tale comes from a group of hikers who stumbled upon the town while exploring the forest. They, too, described it as a place of ethereal beauty, but one that seemed to exist outside of time and space. As they walked through the town, they noticed that the sun was obscured by an unnatural fog, casting an eerie glow over everything. They also heard the faint sound of laughter and music, as if there were people celebrating some unseen festival. But when they tried to find the source of the sounds, they could not find anyone. Then, as if drawn by an invisible force, they found themselves at the foot of the clock tower. One of the hikers reached out to touch it, and as he did, the bells began to toll. In unison, they turned and fled, racing through the forest until they could hear the sound of the bells or the haunting melody of the flute. And then there is the story of a young woman who became separated from her friends while hiking in the forest. As night fell and the fog rolled in, she found herself lost and alone. Just when she was about to give into despair, she saw a light in the distance. With renewed hope, she stumbled towards it, and soon found herself in the town of Lost. In the fog, she was greeted by the sight of a bustling town square filled with people going about their daily activities. There were merchants selling their wares, children playing games, and musicians serenading passersby. The woman felt a sense of relief wash over her as she realized that she was no longer alone. As she continued to explore the town, she noticed that everyone she passed seemed to be shrouded in a mysterious mist. When she tried to talk to them, they did not respond. She could see through the mist, but they could not see her. She felt a growing sense of unease as she realized that she was invisible to the townspeople. Determined to find someone who could help her, she approached a man who looked like he was in charge, a man who wore a badge that read Sheriff on his chest. He stood in front of a building that said Town Hall above the door. When she tried to speak to him, he turned to her and smiled. His smile was eerily wide and did not reach his eyes, which were cold and lifeless. "Can you help me?" she asked, hoping that he would understand. But as soon as the words left her mouth, the sheriff's smile widened even more, and he began to laugh. His laughter was harsh and grating, and it echoed through the empty streets. The woman was frightened, but she tried to remain calm. She knew that she had to get out of this place, but she didn't know how. As she turned to leave, she noticed a sign that read, "Beware." Beneath it, the words, "No exit," were carved into the wood. The woman was trapped in the town of Lost in the fog, and there was no way out. She screamed, but no one heard her. She ran, but she couldn't escape. The town was a labyrinth, and she was its prisoner. Just when she thought she couldn't take it anymore, she saw a glimmer of light in the distance. She stumbled towards it, and as she got closer, she realized it was a tunnel. The light seemed to be coming from the end of it, and she could feel a draft of fresh air on her face. With renewed hope, she ran towards the light, and as she reached the end of the tunnel, she burst out of it and fell to her knees. She had escaped the town of Lost in the fog. As she looked back, she saw that the tunnel had disappeared. The only thing that remained was a thick fog that seemed to be rolling away, revealing the dark and menacing trees of the Blackwood forest. The woman was shaken, but she knew that she had to get out of the forest as fast as she could. She didn't want to know what secrets it held, and she never looked back. The stories of the town of Lost in the fog have been passed down through generations, serving as a warning to those who would dare to enter the forbidden depths of Blackwood Forest. For some, it is merely a cautionary tale, a way of keeping children from wandering into the dangerous woods. But for others, it is a glimpse into another world, a world where the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of the town of Lost in the fog is that no one can agree on whether it really exists. There are those who claim to have seen it with their own eyes, yet no physical evidence of the town has ever been found. Some believe that the town is real, existing somewhere deep within the forest, hidden from view by an impenetrable fog. Others believe that it is nothing more than a figment of the imagination, a product of the human mind's tendency to seek out patterns and meaning in the unknown. Yet, despite the uncertainty surrounding its existence, the legend of the town of Lost in the fog continues to capture the human imagination. The idea of a town that appears and disappears at will, a place where the laws of nature are suspended and where the dead may walk among the living, is both terrifying and exhilarating. If you ask me, I will admit that I don't know if the town of Lost in the fog is real or not. Perhaps it exists in some alternate dimension, or perhaps it is nothing more than a figment of our collective imagination. What do you think? Have you ever seen the town of Lost in the fog? Or have you ever been to a place that you couldn't escape from? Let me know your thoughts. I love reading your comments. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. And thank you for watching.